All right, so are you ready to dive into this year's Grammys? Because I am.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely ready to unpack all the surprises and trends.
Yeah, I mean, from unexpected wins to some, seriously fierce competition, this year's ceremony did not disappoint.
No, it did not.
We've got a ton of articles and insights to go through, so let's just jump right in.
That's good.
Okay, let's talk about Beyonce.
Okay.
Queen Bea. She, uh, she won a Grammy for Best Country Album with Cowboy Carter.
It was the talk of the night.
I have to be honest with you. When I saw that, I thought for sure it was a typo.
I can understand that. It was definitely a head scratcher for a lot of folks. I mean, Beyonce, country music, it's not exactly what you'd expect.
Right. It definitely got everyone talking and trying to figure out, well, what does it all mean?
Exactly.
Is this some sort of strategic move by her?
Yeah.
Is this a genuine love of country music? Is she just messing with us?
Maybe she's just trying to show that these genre lines are really starting to blur.
Or maybe all of the above?
Could be.
Yeah. And, this wasn't her only win in the country categories. She and Miley Cyrus won Best Country Duo or Group Performance.
Oh, yeah, for I Most Wanted. That was a great collaboration.
It's interesting. You've got these two powerhouse artists, each with their own distinct style, coming together in a way that you wouldn't necessarily expect. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's part of this trend of artists stepping outside of their comfort zones, experimenting, collaborating in unexpected ways.
And of course, let's not forget Beyonce also won Album of the Year.
Right, with Cowboy Carter.
Yeah.
A huge win.
It really just shows you her staying power, her ability to consistently deliver music that people love.
Absolutely. And when you look at who she was up against in that category,
Oh, yeah. Talk about some serious competition.
you had Taylor Swift with the Tortured Poets Department and Billie Eilish with Hit Me Hard and Soft.
Yeah.
Some really big names.
But Beyonce came out on top, adding yet another Grammy to her collection.
Yeah, further solidifying her legacy as, one of the greats.
Now, while we're on the topic of the biggest awards of the night, Kendrick Lamar also had a phenomenal night.
He did, didn't he? Taking home both Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Not Like Us.
Which, by the way, that is not an easy feat.
Not at all. It's a really powerful statement about the impact of that song. Winning both of those awards suggests it resonated with, both industry professionals and the wider public.
Exactly. And speaking of impact, we can't forget about Chappell Roan winning Best New Artist.
Yeah, that's a huge win. Often a real game changer for an artist's career. Opens up a lot of doors.
It does. Okay, so we've talked about the biggest awards and Beyonce's surprising wins in the country categories, but there's a lot more to unpack. Let's move on to the pop scene.
All right. Sounds good.
What were your thoughts on the pop vocal album category?
Sabrina Carpenter winning Best Pop Vocal Album for Short and Sweet was definitely a highlight.
It was, especially considering she beat out some, pretty big names.
Right. Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift were both nominated in that category.
It makes you wonder what her win says about the current state of pop music.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Maybe it suggests a shift in taste, especially among younger listeners. They seem to be gravitating towards artists who are, relatable, authentic, and maybe a little more vulnerable in their music.
And Carpenter seems to embody that.
She does, and her win for Best Pop Solo Performance for Espresso further reinforces that.
Right, so two big wins for her. That's got to feel pretty amazing.
I'm sure it does. Now, in the Best Pop Duo or Group Performance category, we saw Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars win for Die With a Smile.
Yeah, two iconic voices coming together for a really catchy collaboration. It's kind of a reminder that sometimes the magic happens when you bring together artists with different strengths and styles.
Right. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about electronic music.
Okay.
This is a genre that's always pushing boundaries, always evolving. What stood out to you in this year's electronic music categories?
Well, the win for Best Dance Electronic Recording went to a really interesting collaboration, Justice and Tame Impala, for their track Never Ender.
It's interesting you say that because on the surface, they seem like a bit of an odd pair.
They do, don't they? But I think that's what makes this win so intriguing. Justice, known for their French house sound and heavy sampling, and then you've got Tame Impala with their psychedelic rock. It's a really unique blend.
It is. And then, of course, we have Charlie XCX winning Best Dance Electronic Album for Brat.
It seems like a fitting win for her. She's always pushing boundaries and experimenting with sound.
She is. So we've got Beyonce conquering country,
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar dominating the big four categories, And newcomers like Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan making waves. And we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to discuss.
There is. A lot of great music was recognized this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does feel like a celebration of just a whole wide range of talent.
It does. And it even, celebrates some legendary bands from, like, decades past.
Oh, absolutely.
The Beatles. They won a Grammy this year
They did.
for Best Rock Performance.
With Now and Then.
What do you think about that?
It's pretty wild. I mean, that song wasn't even released during their heyday.
Right.
It was part of their anthology project. Came out in the 90s.
Yeah. So it shows you their music is still relevant decades later.
It really does.
And speaking of staying power, Chris Stapleton.
Oh, yeah. He's become a Grammy favorite.
He won Best Country Solo Performance for It Takes a Woman.
That guy can just sing.
It's incredible. Some artists just manage to, just stay at the top of their game year after year.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the global music scene.
All right.
Tim's won Best African Music Performance
Yeah.
for Love Me Jeje. Have you had a chance to listen to her music at all?
I have. I've been hearing her name a lot lately. And for good reason.
What do you think her win says about the state of global music today?
Well, it's exciting to see Afro beats getting this kind of global recognition.
It is.
It's a genre that's been gaining momentum for a while, but this win feels like a real turning point. It shows that the Grammys are embracing a wider range of musical styles and influences.
Exactly. It's great to see that kind of diversity being recognized and celebrated.
It is.
Speaking of celebrating, we have to give a shout out to the folks who work behind the scenes.
Right.
The producers, the songwriters.
Yeah.
They don't always get the spotlight, but they're so essential in shaping the music we love.
Absolutely. And this year, Daniel Negro won Producer of the Year, and Amy Allen won Songwriter of the Year.
Really talented individuals, both of them.
They are.
Okay, so we've spent a good chunk of time talking about music. Yeah. But the Grammys also, acknowledge achievements in other creative fields as well.
Right. It's always interesting to see who gets recognized outside of the music categories.
It is. Like comedian Dave Chappelle. He won Best Comedy Album.
Oh, yeah, for The Dreamer.
That guy is hilarious.
He is. And also thought-provoking.
And often controversial.
Definitely not afraid to push buttons.
Which, I think is part of what makes him so great.
Right. He makes you laugh, but he also makes you think.
He does. And in a, truly heartwarming win, former President Jimmy Carter won Best Audiobook Narration.
Oh, wow. For Last Sunday in Plains?
The Centennial Celebration.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to listen to it?
I haven't yet, but I've heard it's really good.
It is. His dedication to humanitarian work and his, continued engagement with social issues is really inspiring.
He's a remarkable individual.
He is. Okay. So we're wrapping up our deep dive into this year's Grammys. And it's clear that it was, anything but ordinary. Genre-bending wins, the rise of some really talented newcomers. What stands out to you as the most significant takeaway?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the music industry is in a real state of change. Lines between genres are blurring. Artists are experimenting more, collaborating in new ways. It feels like a really exciting time for music.
It does. It really does. And it just goes to show you, music is always evolving, always pushing boundaries, always defying expectations. And that's what makes it so great. So before we go, let's hear from you, our listener. We've gone over like the biggest wins, the unexpected upsets, even some of the trends. But now we want to hear from you. What was the moment for you where you were like, wait, what? Or, maybe that's awesome.
Yeah. Did Beyonce winning in the country categories throw you for a loop? Or were you maybe more excited about someone like Sabrina Carpenter breaking through?
As you're, thinking about everything we've talked about, what are your predictions for next year's Grammys? What do you think we'll be talking about? More genre bending? The return of some classic sounds?
There's even a whole new genre that we haven't even heard of yet.
The possibilities are kind of endless.
They are.
And that's what's so cool about music.
Exactly.
It's constantly changing, surprising us, reflecting what's happening in the world. The Grammys are really just a snapshot of where music is at right now.
Right. But they also make you think about where it's all headed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've come to the end of our deep dive into this year's Grammys.
It's been fun.
It has, as always. So until next time, keep listening to new music. Keep your mind open to, different perspectives. And get ready for another year of amazing music.
Who knows what the future holds?
That's the beauty of it, right? The music never stops. Thanks for listening.